In my opinion, I feel like photography is an amazing skill to learn because it is needed everywhere. And so my question is this: have you ever thought about becoming a freelance photographer aside from your 9-to-5, doing it on the weekends and getting some extra income? Well, today I'm going to help you get started with a few simple steps from my journey in which I have been doing this for 8.5 years and counting, and I've done it aside from my 9-to-5, and it's been a beautiful journey. So let's get into it. Okay, so before you go out there in the field, one thing that you want to do is prioritize your time management. Balancing a full-time job and trying to start your weekend business really does require time management. You need to make sure that you know your schedule and make sure you set your availability. Now, if things change where you may have a different schedule with your job, then your photography schedule can change. Maybe it's not just Saturday and Sunday. It could be Friday, Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday as well. If you need to get a handy dandy calendar, the one that you write on, get it. If you can do it on Google Calendar or even your phone's calendar, it's important to section out your availability so that you're not double booking, you're not scheduling a party that you were supposed to go to, and you're able to maximize as many shoots as you can. And then you want to assess your current skills and equipment. What do you know about photography? What do you feel like you need to learn about it? I would dive into some study, even here on YouTube University, and get some information about the craft and what it really does for people, for brands, for businesses, and even camera information. Make sure that you know the 3 most top camera settings of any camera, which is the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. And really make sure that you fill your brain up with the knowledge of this new occupation or this new skill that you are learning, so that when you are on the field, you're not super confused. So I would say practice with family, with friends. That's something I did when I was trying to get my reps in and learn my camera, learn my settings, so that when I was really taking on paid clients, I wasn't out there guesstimating. I was able to guesstimate with people that actually love me or really appreciate me and didn't care if I was messing up or saying, hold on, let me adjust this, hold on, I need to figure this out, the lighting, oh my god, da 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 da. Yeah, they didn't care. So definitely practice that first. And then you have to think about your gear. The most important thing that you need as a photographer is a camera. I suggest going into budget-friendly cameras and the ones that are more so entry level, and not getting so tied up in the extreme professional ones if you don't feel like you have the money at the time to do it. Because listen guys, for me, I started with a Canon T3i Rebel series, and it's an entry-level kit camera. It came with 2 lenses. I believe it was an 18-55 and a 75-300, I believe so. And y'all, I worked the heck out of that thing. I was doing everything. I was photographing my cousins, landscape, flowers, and I was really just trying to learn this camera. And also I was in school at the time when I had the camera, and I would do it here and there, but I really did it in my senior year, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, so get acquainted with some of the entry-level ones. Even like the Canon 6D is a really nice one. That's the one that I upgraded to after I was done with the T3i. I believe it is something that you can use. Even like the 70D. As you can see, I am a Canon person. This is Canon friendly, but I would also look at Nikon or other brands that hold entry-level cameras, especially the ones that are within your budget. And then you need a lens. I always suggest getting one that could be a little versatile, where you can do your portraits and you can do your landscape or widescape photos. So I would suggest the 24-70, but I also always suggest the nifty 50, which is the 50mm f1.8 lens, and that is such a beautiful portrait one. And I really do believe when you are starting out to kind of hone in and learn portraits, that is just my suggestion. I really just feel like portraits is a staple of being a photographer, and learning that in the beginning is going to help you long term. And then also with your camera, I would think about if I want to do digital photography or do I want to do film. You have to figure that out and see what is your style, which one that you want to put the most work into, and then go from there. Along with your camera and lens, you're going to need a memory card, and this is going to be able to store all of your photos. I actually go more in depth about gear on this channel, so make sure you check that video out. I'm going to link it above and possibly at the end of this video. But yeah, definitely think about your memory card and also the software that you're going want to use. A lot of softwares like Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One do monthly subscriptions. So just assess that, see how much you're able to pay, and think about how that's going to look for you when it comes to starting this and how much you're going to have to allocate to begin. And then the next most important thing is you have to identify your niche. Photography has a lot of different genres in which you can play with. You have baby photography, you got family and couples, you have editorial, you have food, you have landscape, you got animal photography. It's so many different lanes in which you can go. So make sure you just figure out which one you want to go into. What are you more passionate about? Which one gets you very excited? And I would look into that and go really, really hard into it. Like I said before, get your repetitions in before you ask anyone for money. Try your best to do a few so you can get acquainted with your camera once again, but then also with what your genre requires of you. I know for me, I do a lot of portraits with single people, with couples, with families, and I also do a lot of editorial field photography, and that is really honing in on the portrait. Once again, learning how to get a nice crisp one and lasering in on the eyes when it comes to portrait, knowing that if someone can capture your eye in a photo, that is basically how they can see it in a better way. Like, that's what you focus on. And I talk more on that on here as well when it comes to getting a good portrait. But yeah, just learn your niche, study it as much as you can, and just see what it may need. Because listen, a photographer that is doing event photography more exclusively or just more primarily, they are going to need a flash. You're going to need an external flash because a lot of events can sometimes be at night and they're going to need that illuminated look. So look into it and even gather information from a photographer you may know or have seen on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you've seen them, maybe in real life or wherever. Ask them some questions or just get bold and cold email some that you admire. And that's another thing I would say, get inspired by those that are doing it. So follow them on social, look up some of their YouTube channels if they have it, because looking at other people's work can be a source of inspiration or it can turn into comparison. You have to be careful. If you're looking too long and now you're thinking, oh, I'm a beginner or I'm just starting out and I don't feel good about it because they are on chapter 20, you're going to get off track. The next and very important thing is to create a portfolio. There are so many resources in which you can do this for free. You can do a website and you can pay a monthly subscription, maybe like on Squarespace or Wix.com. You can do it for free on social media. One thing for me, I use Instagram for my photography, and that plus word of mouth have been the two most ways in which I'm able to get clients, and I'm so thankful for it. So yes, use social media, use TikTok, use YouTube. Even if you're on Twitter, use those spaces because they're free tools and you're able to market yourself in a way that is unique to you. It's your page, and in a way, your Instagram is kind of a resume, especially if you are gearing it towards photography. And I understand if you have more personal things on there, but think about it. People are looking for your work when you are a photographer. They are not looking so much for who did you work with. They want to see the proof. And that's one thing. No one has ever asked me, can I see your paper resume of who you've worked with when it comes to photographer or what? No. They said, hey, can I get a link to your portfolio? Can I get a link to what you do? I want to see how you capture. And so it is so important for new photographers, especially if you're trying to make this into a side thing apart from your 9-to-5, is to post your work. Even post some of the work that you're doing with your family, your friends, co-workers that I had mentioned before, because when you do that, people are going to be able to see and relate you to being a photographer. And then this is when you'll begin to get those DMs or you'll get those inquiries like, hey, do you do this? I got something coming up. Or hey, I want a new headshot. Are you able to do that? I promise you it will happen. Even if it may take some time, don't rush it. Just know that it's going to start coming in. Your portfolio is so important. It is the proof of what you do. And then I would say you need to learn the prices for your photography. This is a kind of different topic. It's a kind of like, how can I explain it? Tricky topic to talk about because it really does depend. It depends on a few factors. The city that you're living in and shooting in, your level of experience, and just kind of feeling the crowd in which you are approaching. Like for me, I do a lot of photography for millennials and some baby boomer, but a lot of millennials and certain Gen Z. So I have kind of researched what they're able to spend and what they're able to, allot when it comes to photography over the years. But when you're beginning, I would research what photographers in your city, in your state, usually charge. Maybe they do an hourly rate, and that's up to you. And you can even promote yourself in that way and be like, hey, this weekend I'm doing headshots for an hourly rate of this, or for a set rate of this. This is how many photos you'll get. And maybe have one outfit, and it can be kind of like a mini session, a mini shoot, and just really kind of think about what is worth your hour and what's worth your expertise. If you know that you are just starting, sometimes you don't feel as confident with having high prices, and high prices is really objective in a way. It's kind of like something that you have got to figure out, and I'm gonna just be honest, that's why sometimes it's hard for me to kind of talk about pricing. But what I would say is that what you're comfortable with, go with, but be realistic within the area that you live in and the people that you're trying to market to, and think about what budgets they have, but also think about some of the gear that you have. What is some certain percentages of what you use? Like, what's a percentage, like a 5% of your camera, how much you bought that for? Maybe you can add that into your hourly rate. Or what is 2 memory cards? How much does that cost? And then you can use that as some type of rate plus your photographer rate. And don't be afraid to put your prices out there. It is okay. If people are not going to pay what you are offering, they'll find someone else, and the right people will be for you. I promise the right people are going to pay your price. So do not worry about that. Set it and forget it, okay? I sound like an infomercial. Set it and forget it, okay? And then as you continue to grow in your journey, raise them just like businesses do. You have to look at yourself as a business. They do it all the time. Sometimes without us even knowing, without a, hey, we're raising prices. No, they just continue to do it. So yeah, be confident and know that the right people are going to pay your prices. The next thing I would say is to learn how to serve your clients and manage expectations. Here is what I really want you to know. The more clear you are with your communication of what you provide, the better your relationship with your client is going to be. In your emails and your PDF packages of your prices, make sure you let them know about turnaround time. If it's 6 to 8 days or if it's 2 weeks, let them know. Let them know how much it is to add on photos if you have a set package, or if you're just giving them the whole set. Let them know how many outfits they can do. Let them know what will happen if they are 30+ minutes late. Let them know what will happen if you as the photographer needs to reschedule, or if they need to reschedule, if there's a fee involved. Like, really get detailed. The more detailed you are with what you're going to bring to them, the more they will not have to ask questions. Because listen guys, I had the horrible experience in the beginning where I wasn't as clear in my emails, and so I would get a whole thread of different questions, and then sometimes it wouldn't even turn into them going with me. It was just too much, and then I gave out my number. That's not no. So that's another thing. Please keep your communication professional. Keep it on the email if you can. But I understand it really does depend on the person that you're working with. You may know this person and you already have their number and they reached out to you via your number. I get it, but transfer it as quickly as you can to email so that you have a paper trail of what you are saying in case anything goes wrong. And let them know again your availability. Like, hey, I actually have a prior engagement Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Here's my availability and this is what I'm able to do. Because of this is why the turnaround will be a little bit longer because of the work that I do in the daytime. Like, let them know so they can be prepared for it and not knocking down your door saying, where are my photos? Where are they at? Now, another thing that you could do is have a cool fee for expedited return of photos. If you have the time, but you have got to just know what you can handle, know your capacity. And sometimes this is learned over time. This is learned over the first 3 shoots that you do with people and seeing how they communicate with you. There are certain people that are micromanagers and very kind of like high, how can I explain it? They can have a lot of intensity when it comes to booking you because the questions come after another. Even if you're clear, sometimes a lot of questions still come. If you can just make this communication as clear as possible, you're off to the races, okay? But no, for real, you are good, I promise. And the last thing I would say is to be patient, consistent, and persevere. Listen guys, when you're starting at the beginning of something, you may feel like a dummy. You may feel a little out the loop in certain ways. You may know what you know, but there are only certain things that you will learn of when you get out there in the field. I promise you, it's just how it is. So really be patient with yourself. And then next, I would say be consistent. Get those repetitions in. Like I said before, get your family, get your friends, and really get to know the craft that you have stepped into. Photography is so important. It is something that is used in a court of law. A photo that was proof of something can let somebody free. You know, it's capturing a moment in time. It's capturing a feeling. It's capturing just somebody's moment that they're going to be able to remember for years. So please know, the more you work on it, the more it will show the quality in what you do. And ultimately, with your consistency, people will relate you to being a photographer, and that is a beautiful thing. And also, you have got to persevere. That means keep going even when it is hard. Keep going even when you feel like you're just not good enough, because that may come across your mind. But listen, everyone has to start somewhere, and you are starting, and that is beautiful. That is amazing. Certain people don't start, but you did. You said, you know what? I have a good eye. When I take these photos on my phone, I actually have a good composition. I know how to frame things, and that's why I'm transferring over into this business. Or maybe you're just very curious about it. You really love imagery and you love being able to see how people capture, and it influenced you. Maybe another photographer influenced you to do it. Whatever the reason is, you can do it. Do not let yourself talk you out of it. Don't let social media talk you out of it. Just go for it. After you assess the steps that I talked about in this video, please know that I am here rooting for all the photographers out there, because we really do give this world character with the images that we bring to the world, and we really just help people when it comes to capturing and being able to get this moment in time that they'll be able to remember. It's just so many great things about photography, and that's why I always encourage people to get into it. It's fun, and you are able to really get your creative juices flowing with photography. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any other suggestions in which you want me to talk about, let me know, because I will be excited to do it, especially if I know what I'm talking about. Now, if I don't know what I'm talking about, listen, I'm sorry. But no, seriously, I am so grateful to make this video for you, and I will see you on the next one.